Happy New Year to all you wonderful people out there, and welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the year for us movie fans to look back at the previous year and say, you know what? What were those 10 movies that really stood out? What were the films that really moved me, entertained me, that really stuck with me? And that's what we're talking about today. I'm going to be sharing my top 10 movies of last year, 2025. And I say last year, it's just a couple of days ago that we were just in the previous year. But again, Happy New Year to you all. And I'm so excited to be here. Now, admittedly, it took me a little bit to make my top 10s list because number one, I took a little trip to Hawkins, Indiana, to say goodbye to the Stranger Things crew. And also, there was a couple films that I wanted to watch before making my list. And here we are. There's going to be some hidden gems, some surprises, some films I'm sure you all have heard of, some usual suspects. But I'm really proud of this list, and I'm excited to share it with you all in today's video. But before we get into my list, I want to take this time to thank you all for clicking on the video. And if you enjoy these type of videos and enjoy these type of conversations, hit the thumbs up. Consider sharing this video to anyone and everyone you know that loves talking about movies, and also consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel today. Now, before we get into the list, just a quick disclaimer. I know you all know this out there, but just in case you're new, I just want to remind you all, this is my list. This is my top 10 list. There's no right or wrong answers, and this is where the comment section comes into play, because you can share your list and we can have some fun discussions about everyone's list in the comments below. But again, this reminder, my top 10 movies doesn't mean it has to be yours. I'm not saying these are the best of the best ever to come out in 2025. It's just the movies that stuck with me, that resonate with me, that entertain me, that I rewatch, so on and so forth. So just a little reminder with that. So before we get into my list, actually, let me share with you all some honorable mentions. My 11 through 20, the films that I very much enjoyed, but they just didn't quite make my top 10 list. So starting off at number 20, I'm going to go with Predators, Killers of Killers. Number 19 was The Life of Chuck. Coming in number 18 was Warfare. Coming in after that at 17 was Friendship. Then at number 16, I have the horror film Bring Her Back. Next, we have the latest from Wes Anderson and the Tahitian Scheme. Then I have If I Had Legs, I'll Kick You. Number 13 is Begonia. Number 12 is A Secret Agent. And number 11 is Hamnet. Again, all those films I quite enjoyed. Some of them are fairly new. Like I just saw The Secret Agent the other day, so I'm still kind of processing. I've thoroughly enjoyed the film, and it could have, maybe if I saw it a little bit earlier in the year, it might have made my top 10 list. But again, all great films. If you haven't seen them, I highly recommend it. But now, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please. It is time to get into my top 10. And coming in at number 10 is probably a film you might not have heard of. It might be a hidden gem, an underrated film, if you may. And that film goes by the name of She Rides Shotgun. When I first saw this film, I compared it to a mix of Bonnie and Clyde meets Breaking Bad with a blend of The Professional. She Rides Shotgun completely caught me by surprise by how emotionally invested it got me in its main character's journey. Now, at first glance, this could appear to be another entry in the crime thriller genre, but it swiftly evolves into something far more intimate and emotionally compelling. Now, admittedly, this isn't a game changer in the crime thriller genre. This isn't innovating anything new as far as like plot twists or like these crazy action sequences. Instead, its power lies in the story and its deep investment in this estranged relationship between a father and a daughter, which was incredibly well done. This is a testament to the script and direction that the film manages to feel fresh and urgent despite its familiar framework. The emotional core is strong in this film, and central to its emotional resonance are the performances, particularly from our two leads, starting off with Taron Egerton, who plays his ex-con fresh out of prison, who is initially emotionally unavailable. But as the film goes along, this is why I love Taron as an actor. Like, he allows the film to, you discover who he is as an individual, and you learn why he is the way he is. And again, as we move along the story, he allows himself to really be the protector and the father of his daughter's life for what they get into for the very first time. It's a subtle performance, but it's an impactful performance that truly grounds the movie. Now, the performance that really caught me by surprise is Anna Sophia Hegger, who is the co-lead, is the daughter of Taron's character, and she was phenomenal. She completely nails her role, and I was floored by her emotional range at such a young age, especially considering that she is effectively the lead of the movie and driving much of the emotional narrative. It's rare to find a film like this that successfully blends high-stakes action but also has such deep emotional resonance. She Rides Shotgun, to me, is one of the most underrated and surprising films that I've seen all year. Again, this film really caught me by surprise, and for anyone out there that's into crime thrillers and you're looking for a nice crime thriller to watch, this is one to check out. It's a film, again, that explores the thrills of being in a crime thriller, but it's also a poignant exploration of family, forgiveness, and the enduring power of the human connection. Again, this is what I like to consider a hidden gem, and it is a film that really stuck with me. I saw it earlier in the year, and I got a screener for it, and I believe it's available. I'll put it on the screen now as far as where you can stream or where you can find it to watch it. Highly recommend it. And again, caught me by surprise, and that's why She Rides Shotgun comes in at my number 10. Coming in my number 9 was a film that I was lucky enough to see in theaters, and I was so happy to see it because I was really hyped for it because I'm such a big fan of this director. We're talking about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. This new adaptation stands as a testament to the beauty of life itself and the complex relationship between a creator and its creation. This film achieves its most significant victory by prioritizing empathy. Now, rather than presenting the creature as a purely terrifying monster, Guillermo and his team craft a romantic gothic love story, a characterization that immediately elevates the material above some of the typical standard stories that we've seen before with this iconic character. One of the things that stood out to me, besides the empathy of the character, the direction of the film, was the production of the movie. Like, all Guillermo films look gorgeous, but this one, the language within the visuals, the language within the sets and the costuming just all brings it to life. And again, I know it's available on Netflix and I've seen it at home and it still carries that weight, but seeing it on the big screen was such an immersive experience. And again, you're able to take it all in. And again, it's the language that speaks within the production that was something that really stood out to me as well. I also got to give shout outs to the entire cast, but in particular Jacob Elordi's performance as Frankenstein's monster. While I've enjoyed his previous work, Elordi's performance as Frankenstein's monster is by far his best performance as an actor in my opinion. He's able to convey a warmth and kindness that transcends the layers of the creature and the makeup and the physical impression. Elordi successfully channels the monster's inherent sympathetic nature, anchoring the entire narrative in a powerful emotional realism. Again, as someone that loves Guillermo's work, sometimes I think his visuals overshadow his story sometimes, but I found Frankenstein to have a nice balance of visual flair, visual language, visual just beauty to see on screen, but also a narrative that carries you through the weight of the emotions of these characters, especially, again, Oscar Isaac was great, Mia Goth was great, everyone, Christoph Waltz was fantastic, but again, Jacob Elordi centers this film, he grounds this film in such a beautiful performance. I hope he gets a nomination when it comes that time of the year in a couple of weeks when they make the nomination announcements, but I was quite impressed by Frankenstein, and it stuck the landing for me emotionally, and it really worked. And again, that's why Frankenstein is coming in at my number 9. All right, sticking with Netflix, a really good year for Netflix now when I think about it, but coming in at my number 8 is a film that is another kind of hidden gem that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, but it was a film that really stuck with me, and that is Train Dreams. One word I would use to describe this film is stunning. I would also describe it as beautiful, but also it is a depressing film in all the best ways possible. I had such a out-of-body experience while watching this film in the theater, which was another Netflix film that I was lucky enough to see in theaters and not see it at home for the first time, which again, this is another one that does that weight carries over at home because I did rewatch it at home. But seeing it in theaters, not knowing anything about it, this is one of those examples of when you allow a film to just take over and you go on this journey of just watching something unfold that is quite beautiful. From director Clint Bentley, who was the co-writer of the incredible Sing Sing from a couple years ago, this film carries a similar weight and an emotional intelligence. It stars the incredible Joel Edgerton as Robert, a simple man living a hard life as a logger and a railroad worker in the shifting landscape of the early 20th century. Now, he's a man of few words, and Edgerton conveys volumes with looks. And opposite of him is Felicity Jones, who was a nice addition to this cast, and she's just like this really graceful presence in the film, and their chemistry was fantastic. But again, Joel Edgerton, who I've been a fan of for a long time, is just, again, it's a subtle performance compared to some of these other performances that we'll talk about a little bit later, but I was quite compelled by the performance, and particularly by Joel. I thought that they were both fantastic, but he was just spectacular in this role. Now, this film is based on a short story by Dennis Johnson, and I'll be honest, it is bleak, it is sad, but I also found it to be very meditative, and it can be challenging for some, the pace of the film, but it is a very deliberate place because in the pacing, in this deliberate nature of the slowness in the film is what I found to be one of the greatest strengths. Because in a world where we're always rushing to the finish line, this film forces you to slow down, to sit with the nuances and appreciate the small moments as we watch both the ups and downs of our main character's life. And believe me, there are a lot of downs in this main character's story. The film is fundamentally about grief and how we carry it. It explores how loss can fracture our sense of reality, leaving us to piecing ourselves back together. This film to me was a reminder to take in those moments of life that are both bad and good. It's a film that argues that even grief is a part of the beautiful, messy experience of life. It's a film that is beautiful, it is sad, it is bleak, it is meditative, it is all those things, and it is such a beautiful experience. At least I found it to be a beautiful experience. And again, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but people that I do know stand with me in saying that this was such a wonderful experience. And again, it's great. It is sad, but it is a wonderful film, and that's why Train Dreams is number 8 on my list. Coming in number 7 is a film that really caught me by surprise because I didn't see the first film, and it's rare for a sequel to make my top 10 list. Now, I've seen the original since seeing the second one, but I rarely go into movies where I don't see the original first, but I was so floored by the sequel, and that film goes by the name of Naja 2. Naja 2 was one hell of a cinematic ride, and to me redefines the boundaries of animated storytelling. From the start of this film, the film asserts its visual prowess, boosting the stunning animation and the truly breathtaking visuals that immediately establishes a rich and immersive world and a complex mythology. Now, mind you, I did not see the first one while seeing this second film, but this is one of those instances where the second film does a good job of bringing someone in new like me into this world. It immerses you in the world building and it catches you up on the previous events, but then once it kind of gets past the first 10 to 15 minutes, say, hey, this is what happened in the first one, let's go on this crazy ride for the second one. Now, one of the things that I was just absolutely floored by, besides the incredible world building and the visuals, which were absolutely stunning seen on the big screen, I am an action head. I'm an action fiend. I grew up in the action genre as a kid, horror, action, sci-fi, all day, every day. Give it to me, please. But the action in this film was freaking amazing. Like, it reminded me so much of like the chaoticness and the innovativeness of the live action film that came out a couple years ago, RRR. Like, it had that type of chaotic energy, which I love so much, but also within the action, it's the storytelling within the action. Like, it's not just like mindless action. Like, there's actual nuance and there's actually development within the fight choreography, and it plays into the narrative that we're seeing with our characters go through as they're trying to accomplish these different goals and trying to beat these different people to play into the overall arc of what they're trying to go to. So again, mindless action can be fun, but I love when action has a purpose, and this film has a ton of purpose within the incredible action sequences. Naja 2 is, to me, the best animated film of the year. It is ambitious. It is a visual feast. It is a compelling narrative, and it was one of the best theatrical experiences I've had all year, and it is so much fun. I cannot wait to see part 3. It's animated, it's fun, it's loud, it's crazy, it's chaotic, and that's why it's coming in at number 7 on my list. All right, coming in at my number 6 is a film that a lot of people seem to not like. They just weren't vibing with it, and that's cool, man, but I was here for it. I'm a big fan of this film, and coming in at number 6 is 28 Years Later. Danny Boyle and Alice Garland are back, and they have done it again. To me, they not just revived the zombie genre, or in this case, the infected subgenre. They inject it with such adrenaline, and it is flat out batshit crazy in all the best ways possible, in my opinion. From that opening scene, this film had me hooked. I thought the visuals were stunning. I thought the music was phenomenal. I thought the editing was sharp and very creative. I don't think this is a traditional run-of-the-mill legacy sequel. Like, I know some people wanted more action, this, that, and the other, and in the moment, this movie has its action when it gets there. But I love the intimacy of this movie. I love how all these things I just mentioned from a production standpoint, the music, the editing, the camera work with the iPhones, all come together to tell this very intimate story. I thought the performances were phenomenal. Jodie Comer was great. Alfie Williams was fantastic as the young actor that led this film as Spike. Aaron Taylor-Johnson was great. Ralph Fiennes was perfect. The action sequences hit like a freight train. They were brutal. They were breathtaking in equal measure. But what really sets 28 Years apart for me is the film's heart. It's not about just the infected, it's about the survivors, their relationships, and the lengths they will go to in protecting their loved ones, and I really love that about the story. I found it to be deeply effective. I thought it took some wild swings. Some of it didn't work for some, but it really worked for me, and I love how punk rock the movie is, and I'm so excited for the sequel. I'm going to be seeing it a little bit early, so definitely expect some coverage on that, but I very much enjoyed 28 Years Later, and that's why it's coming in at number 6 on my list. So we are now approaching that top 5 category. Now, before we get into my top 5 movies of 2025, I want to take this time to thank you all for making it to this point in the video. I really appreciate the support. If you all are having fun, hit that like button. Also, if you're on YouTube, hit that hype button. It helps the video spread to new viewers. Speaking of new viewers, share this video to anyone and everyone you know that loves talking about movies. And also, leave your list in the comments below. And last but not least, stick around by subscribing to the channel today. With all that being said, let's get into my top 5. All right, coming in at my number 5 is a film that I consider to be another hidden gem, a film that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but it was a film that really moved me, and that is the A24 film by the name of Sorry Baby. What truly elevated this film to me is the undeniable brilliance of its writer, director, and star of the film by the name of Ava Victor. I was truly blown away by her grip of storytelling. She prioritizes pure honesty over dramatic theatrics, and it creates a narrative that feels profoundly authentic. Now, I don't want to give too much away about this film because I didn't know much about it before seeing it in theaters earlier this year, but I will warn you all, it is a film that does tackle a very sensitive subject matter involving sexual assault. But I will say this, when it comes to how the film handles that subject matter, the control within the film's tone is just unbelievable. One minute I was laughing hysterically, and the next moment my heart was breaking for what the main character was going through. It's the kind of complex, emotional tightrope that even the most seasoned filmmakers rarely achieve, let alone someone making their directorial debut. The way she handles this subject matter was so magnificent. Like, I was so impressed by her directorial debut and the way she writes the characters, the way she performs and everything of that nature. Like, her style reminds me of like a mix of Phoebe Waller-Bridge meets Greta Gerwig in all the best ways possible. Sorry Baby to me is a wonderful original take on a subject often approached with austerity. It's a perfect mix of humor, sincerity, authenticity, pain, joy, love, truth, all packed in one way that looks and feels like it came from a director with years of experience. I can't stress enough what this film was able to accomplish with blending in things like, again, humor, the tenderness, the authenticity, the pain that our character goes through, but also the idea of coming out on the other side, that sometimes you don't have to allow something that happens to you in a negative light to define you. And I really love that message about the film, and that's why Sorry Baby is in my top 5, and it came in at number 5. All right, coming in number 4 is a film that I think had maybe the best marketing of the year, and it is one of the more mysterious movies and one of the most craziest movies of the year. And coming in at my number 4 is Weapons. Zach Cregger once again proves he possesses an undeniable gift for crafting a deeply unsettling and haunting atmosphere. Compared to his last outing in Barbarian, this film feels significantly more ambitious, and Cregger's direction here is just insanely good. What I loved about Weapons is the storytelling. Like, I love how it had that Magnolia type of storytelling where we're getting the same story but from different perspectives, and through each perspective we learn something new about what's going on. And when you find out, I know not everyone has seen Weapons, so I won't give too much away, but when you find out what's happening in this town, what happened to the kids that goes missing at 2:17 a.m. in the morning, it is haunting. And as a horror fan, I love the discovery of what happens. And all I'll say is Amy Madigan as Aunt Gladys is iconic. You know, there has been a confirmation that we will be getting a prequel, which I know everyone's not excited about, but I was so taken back by this character that I just wanted more. So I'm excited to get more of this character, hopefully in the next year or two, with the confirmation that we will be getting a prequel. But she was iconic. Zach Cregger is phenomenal. The entire cast was phenomenal. It's shocking. It's creepy as hell. It is very atmospheric, and it was a mystery that I quite enjoyed. And that ending definitely left a smile on my face. And I've seen Weapons quite a few times at this point, and I love it each time I watch it. And I am so happy that we have an original horror film with this type of conversations that was around it. So Weapons coming in at number 4 was a film that I quite enjoyed. All right, coming in my number 3 is yet another film that I think had one of the better marketing tactics of the year, not only from trailers and teasers, but the main star let it be known that he wants to be great, and he was great in this film. And we're talking about Timothée Chalamet and Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme is a chaotic, high-velocity fever dream that feels like you were injected into a 1950s table tennis documentary with an 80-cent score and a shot of pure adrenaline. This film is loud, it is abrasive, and it has that Safdie brother flavor, but it's only one Safdie brother this time, and that is Josh Safdie. He takes what we've seen in Good Times and Uncut Gems, and he turns it up to an 11. I describe this film as Uncut Gems meets Wolf of Wall Street meets Jerry Maguire and Forrest Gump. And this film is just constantly moving. It is so unpredictable. And I thought Josh Safdie did such a great job of directing this film. This is what I like to call controlled chaos. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's controlled at the same time. And it is a living, breathing film. But at the heart of this chaotic circus of a film is a wonderful performance by Timothée Chalamet, who I've been a fan of for a very long time. Seeing him in one of my favorite films of all time, in Interstellar in 2014, I said to myself, this kid doesn't have a lot to do in this movie, but I'm going to remember him. And fast forward to 2017, Call Me By Your Name, and then seeing him in things like Lady Bird and Little Women and Bones and All and Wonka and Dune and Bob Dylan. Like, he is a chameleon. He talks that talk about wanting to be one of the greatest, and I think he's living up to that right now. I think he is the best as far as in his generation. I think he's the best actor in his generation. I think he has many more great performances to come. And I think this is an award winning. Like, I think he's going to win an Oscar. Like, his performance as Marty, this very, ambitious, rude, conniving, manipulative person, but you somehow root for him because of the charm and the charisma that Timothy portrays in the character. He's also supported by an incredible supporting cast from Tyler, the Creator, Odessa, Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, they were all fantastic. This film has a personality. It's constantly moving. Like, I just rewatched it the other night, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes or so. It flies by, and I just have such a good time with that film. And again, Timothy, spectacular. Josh Safdie, spectacular. This film is a great movie, and it is a wonderful experience, and that's why Marty Supreme came in at my number 3. But then there were only 2, and coming in at number 2 was a film that I was really intrigued by, a film that, speaking of marketing with Weapons and Marty Supreme, this was a film that I thought was marketed in a weird way. I'm like, is this a drama? Is this a comedy? Is this an action movie? I'm talking about the latest from PTA, One Battle After Another. The craftsmanship by PTA here is outstanding, and is nearly 3-hour cinematic journey that had my full attention from beginning to end. After recently rewatching this film, I'm still shocked by how fast-paced it goes, and that's just a true testament to PTA's mastery of pacing, energy, and scope. He orchestrates a narrative flow that is simultaneously chaotic and controlled. And this is a film that I would say has a comparison of like Sicario meets The Big Lebowski. Like, I am such a big fan of this film. Like I just said, I watched Marty Supreme and One Battle back to back the other night just to kind of see if it, because when I first saw these films, like, these are in my top 2, top 3, and they have stuck in those places because they are just so well put together. But in particular with this film, the cast is spectacular. Again, I am definitely going to talk about Leo here. He's phenomenal, but I think Timothy has him with Marty as far as winning the award. But I definitely see Leo getting the nomination and maybe winning. I wouldn't be mad at that. But not only was Leo great, Tiana Taylor, Chase Affinity, who I saw a year ago in Presumed Innocence. That was the first time seeing her in anything. And I'm like, she is so great. And here we go into her first big film, and she did not disappoint. Regina Hall was fantastic. Benicio del Toro was great. But the great Sean Penn, who I haven't seen in a movie in quite a while as the Colonel Lockjaw, was nothing short of just an evil SOB, but the performance was outstanding as he does this weird imitation of like Vince McMahon at time, the way he walked and carried himself. But what great performances, what great direction, the beating heart of this film, the revolutionary angle, the father and daughter angle, like there's just so much going on, and it comes together. Like I mentioned with Marty Supreme, this film is constantly moving at a fast pace, and I am just such a big fan of it. It has great comedic beats, it has great drama beats, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, especially in that third act with the chase sequence, and it is a great experience, and that's why One Battle After Another is my number 2, but that brings us to number 1. When I saw this film, man, April was it that it came out? I was so excited because I'm such a big fan of this director. Speaking of marketing, I like some of the marketing. I thought some of it gave some of the big parts away, but even though some of the big parts were given away in the marketing, I still was completely surprised by how phenomenal this movie was. Drum roll, please, for number 1, and that is Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Ryan Coogler's visionary direction, coupled with a world-class score by Ludwig Göransson, with some spectacular performances led by Michael B. Jordan playing 2 roles, this was a deeply layered exploration of racial oppression, racial identity, cultural identity, spirituality, and it elevated this film to the realm of being my favorite movie of the year. I can go on and on and on about this film. Earlier this year, I did like an hour-long breakdown of the movie, and I've done a bunch of other videos since then, but this film was just so spectacular. Like I talk about it, earlier this year about like how the first half you're just thrown into this world, into this time period with these characters in a situation, and you just want them to have a good time at the club with amongst their family and friends. And then as a horror fan, and this is what I mentioned the marketing earlier. Obviously, it's hard to not sell that this is a film that involves vampires, but it's what the vampires represent, what the music represents, what the history of these characters and their ancestors represent. It all comes together, and not just, again, it's pure entertainment. There's some good moments of horror, there's some good moments of suspense, there's good moments of drama, but it's the cultural impact. Like out of all these movies I talked about today, this one to me spoke to me the most because of, number one, Ryan Coogler's attention to detail with the history of that time, but also how important music is to this film. It's the beating heart, it's the core of this film and what it means for these characters and how it transcends time and space. And it's such a well put together film, and I am just so excited to see what Ryan can do. I know he's going to Black Panther 3. I know he's doing X-Files, but I'm so excited to see him continue to do these original IPs. Michael B. Jordan, who I've been a fan of since I was a little kid, I think this is his best role. I think Fruitvale Station, probably, I want to take that back. That's still probably my favorite role of his, but then next to that is Sinners, and then, his stuff in Creed, and, him as Killmonger. But I thought he gave one of his best performances in this film. Haley Steinfeld was fantastic. Woman Mushaku was great as Annie. The whole cast, and, Delroy Lindo was great. Everyone in this film, Miles Cannon was great. Like, this whole cast is spectacular. It is just a wonderful film, and it has, to date, my favorite scene of any film, and that is the scene where Miles is playing that "Somebody Help Me," and we get to answer that scene is spectacular. Sinners is a moment in time. It is so great to see a film with the originality do so well financially, but also, it's a lot of talk. Best Picture nomination, Best Director, Best Performance, Best Screenplay, Best Score. Like, it deservedly so, and I hope it wins a lot of awards because it deserves it. So, number 1 is Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. My 11 through 20 honorable mentions, my 10 through 1 or 1 through 10 top 10 films of 2025. Overall, I would say this was a really good year for cinema. I saw over 100. It was a little bit of a lower year for me. I'm normally like to be in that 150, close to 200, but I saw like 106 movies this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I would say overall, it was a really good year. Again, there's a couple that I still want to see that I haven't seen quite yet, but the ones I did see, I was quite pleased by. Some great action movies, some great horror movies, as we talked about, some great dramas, some original movies, some directors I'm a fan of, some directorial debut, some hidden gems, a little bit of everything, and that is my list of films. So 2026 is an exciting year. I'm excited to see new movies, new shows, and cover those for you all and have conversations around it. But before we get into that new year, I do want to take a moment to thank you all for last year. I have been doing this YouTube journey since 2017, September 4th, if I'm not mistaken, and I've been a critic for 3.5 years now, and the journey has been nothing short of just, I'm appreciative of every single opportunity, every single time I get to see a movie, talk about a movie, watch a show, talk about a show, and the fact that you all, click on these videos, share, comment, engage with the conversations. It means the world to me. So I thank you all for being a part of this journey. I look forward to the journey ahead. And again, I thank you for watching this video. Like, share, comment, subscribe, leave your list in the comments below. Many things to come. Again, from my heart, to thank you all for the support. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and I'm excited to get this new year started. So thank you all again, and I'll see you soon.